Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. So in today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. If you ever subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll notice that a couple months ago I posted that we were going to be doing a Q&A. I apologize that it took so long to get around to filming it, but we did have about 8 to 10 questions that got dropped in the comments section of that community post that I made. So we're going to get into them right now. First question I got: as a business owner, what helps you determine your pricing? I'm aware of different regions and markets, but as a guy that just started doing film last year, I sometimes struggle with pricing and would like to be automatic like you are. That's a really good question, and it's a very loaded question. I'm gonna I'm gonna explain how I got started, and I'm not saying that if you're a beginner like me that you need to get started like I did, but when I got started, I took whatever money I had and I bought a bunch of film, and I just started doing people's vehicles for free. Family members, friends, coworkers, just people that I knew, I would offer to do their vehicles for free just to get experience. Obviously, you can't make a business out of that long term. That's a really risky way to start, but for me, I felt that that was the best way for me to start. As I started to gain confidence, I would start to look at what my product cost was on a job. Let's say a customer came to me with a pickup truck and they wanted a front end done. I would take my square footage of how much film I'm going to use, figure out what that cost is, and then I would just figure out how much I want to make per hour on top of that. And I would also factor in all my other expenses like hydro, my solutions, my tools, the training that I've taken, etc. So that's what I would do. I understand there's different pricing structures in different regions. Big cities, prices will tend to be on the high side, whereas like small rural communities, prices will usually be on the lower side. That's what I would say is like figure out what your skill set is worth, what your time is worth, and make sure that you can deliver a good product. If you're going to be charging a lot of money, if you're going to be on the higher side of that price scale, I would make sure that your customers are, when they're picking their vehicle up, that vehicle is not coming back for any repair work. If you're going to charge a pretty penny, it's got to be worth it, and then some. The customer experience has got to be there. So I don't know if that answered your question. I feel like I answered it the best that I could. If you're going to get started out, and if you got a bunch of money lying around that you can afford to buy film and just give it away for free, that, in my opinion, is the fastest way to get busy at doing film. But at some point in time while you're doing that, you're going to have to realize, okay, my skill set is starting to improve. I'm going to have to start charging for my services. So let's get on to the next question. Eric, what was the very first car you applied PPF to and which panels? Yeah, this is a good question because I still deal with PTSD about it. It was a 2018 Chevy Silverado High Country, and it was the front bumper, the steel bumper. An absolute nightmare of a bumper to do. The amount of stretch to get that film into place was incredible. I was convinced at that time that the pre-cut patterns I was using from Expel at the time were way too small, but I started to talk to some other professional installers, and they're just like, no, that bumper is just a complete pain to install film on, and you're gonna have to stretch like crazy. So I think I did that bumper must have been 6 or 7 times before the customer was finally happy, and I didn't take payment until it was completely done either. So I'm just gonna put that out there. So yeah, 2018 Chevy Silverado. When I see them driving around, I still look at those bumpers and it just, I don't know, I shake my head. But I know that now I can install film on them and they're a lot of fun right now. So next question. How many years have you been applying film? April 2018, I took my training with Expel. What drove you to build the best paint protection film channel on YouTube? Well, at the very beginning of 2020, just before COVID came in, I was bored one day at work and I figured, you know what, I'm going to buy a GoPro and I'm going to throw it up on my head and I'm going to do my installations and talk my way through them. I had no idea that that channel would turn into what it is today. I think we're at around 8,600 subscribers right now. That's about 8,600 more than I figured I would get. So what's driven me to be the best? I don't know if I'd call myself the best. I'm definitely striving to be the best, but I appreciate that you think I'm the best. Next question. When you look at a front bumper, what are the steps you go through in your mind? What do you immediately recognize that says, I'll start here and finish there? Yeah, that's a really good question. So when I'm looking at any kind of panel, and in this case, the guy mentioned front bumper, I would start in the middle. So where I live in Manitoba, Canada, we have license plates on the front. So I always know that I need to start around the license plate. If I can take the license plate bracket off and do a cleaner installation that way, I will definitely do that. But if I'm not starting at the license plate, I'm looking at the area around the grill. Are there any corners or curves or parking sensors that I need to start? I know that these patterns are designed to be installed from the inside out. So I'm looking at one, if there's a license plate, I'm going to start there. If there is a parking sensor, I'm going to be going to there. If there's any other corners or sharp curves or like fog lights, for example, I'm going to start to look at those reference points as I move my way outwards towards the wheel. So it's just a matter of figuring out where to go. There's always a reference point as you start to move out towards the side. That's what you would want to be looking for, is those reference points. In fact, I did a video on this a few months ago. I'm actually going to post that in the comments section or in the description down below of this video, so you can go check that out. Next question. I've noticed in your videos that at times you bulk and sometimes you plot. What factors tell you when you should bulk versus plot? That's a really good question. I think the biggest thing for me is it going to make my installation easier, or am I going to be able to do a better quality installation? I think of GMC Sierra 2500s, 3500s, the Duramax diesels, the Chevy Silverados, those 25 and 3500s. I know that there's a pre-cut hood option for those, but it's an absolute nightmare trying to stretch that film into place with all those sharp valleys and that hood scoop and the grill that's in the way. In a situation like that, I look at that as an opportunity to go bulk. I pop the hood open, I'll take the hood scoop out, I'll take the grill off, or the upper part of the grill, and I'll just make sure that everything's out of the way, and I'll take a big giant sheet of film. I think on those, I would use a 60-inch wide roll by like 80 inches long, so I have more than enough film. And then I know that I have enough film that I can properly lay the film down in those valleys. And I got enough to stretch in the corners or to stretch at the front to make sure that I'm not dealing with any fingers. That's a perfect example of when I would bulk versus when I would use a pre-cut. I have done it with a pre-cut pattern and it's horrible. It's a horrible experience, and I pity any person learning paint protection film that has to do a pattern install on a hood like that. That's just my example referring to this question. But when I can do a better quality installation, or if I can do a faster installation and still deliver a really good quality product, that's when I would bulk. If I can't do either of those things, then I'm just going to stick to the pattern. Next question. How quickly do you wrap and tuck your edges? A few hours later or the next morning? That's kind of dependent on the job. You know, if I'm doing a job for a dealer where they need a quick turnaround time on the job, like if I bring a vehicle in, I got to do a front end package on it. I'm going to start with the hood, and then I'm going to let the edges of the hood dry out while I go and finish everything else, like the fenders, the mirrors, the headlights, fog lights, bumper, that kind of thing. And then once I'm done installing everything else, that's when I'll wrap my edges. So it's usually about an hour or two later. And then once the edges are wrapped, I'll post heat them, and then that vehicle is basically good to be sent out the door. You can wrap your edges right away. Then you need to figure out your tack solution, or you can use a steamer to dry out the film on the edge. But for me personally, it's usually a couple hours. Very seldomly will I leave it overnight. You can do that too if you have the freedom of having the vehicle for a longer period of time. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. So we got two more questions here. Have you tried any installation gels? 3M, Expel, and what did you think of them? Yeah, I got started doing using gel for my paint protection film installs. Gel is really good for a beginner. It allows you the opportunity to put the film on the vehicle, and the film will not slide off as fast as it does with soap solution and water. Personally, I got away from doing gel because it's super expensive. At least I found it super expensive. Where you can go buy a bottle of Dawn or Johnson Johnson baby shampoo, and that bottle will last you an entire year of mixing your slip solution. A bottle of gel is going to be, I don't know what the price is, but maybe $20 or $30 depending how much you buy, and it's not going to last you very long. You could go through a whole bottle on a vehicle or two depending how much film you're installing. So I think it's good. There's definitely benefits to gel. Like I said, like you can put a panel like a fender or a bumper on a vehicle, and if you're really slow at installing or you're in the beginning stages of installing film, you know that film's not going to slide off the vehicle. So that's one of the best benefits of using gel. All right, last question. How do you maintain the shine of paint protection film? This is a really good question, and it ultimately comes down to the customer and how well they wash your vehicle. If a customer comes to me and they're asking me how to maintain their vehicle, right away I'm going to ask them, how often are you washing your vehicle? Are you going through an automatic car wash? Are you using the brushes at the car wash? Are you doing a touchless option? Are you doing a 2-bucket wash method every Saturday morning on your driveway, and you're doing all the right steps? Those are all questions that I would ask. If you're doing all the right things, and you're doing like a 2-bucket wash method, you're drying the vehicle off every time, that's ultimately the best way to maintain the gloss and the shine of the paint protection film. You can use products like a ceramic coating. Ceramic coatings are really, really good at enhancing gloss and shine. They are compatible with paint protection film. I think like there's a million different installers, or not installers, a million different companies out on Amazon and eBay that are selling paint protection film specific ceramic coatings that are designed to help maintain the gloss and shine of the film. So you could do that. Ultimately, if you're the kind of person that does not like to wash your vehicle very often, I would just make sure that every time you're washing it, you are washing it thoroughly. So yeah, I would use a bug and tar remover, to get the bug guts off, the bird droppings, any kind of road tar that gets built up on the film. That's a good way to maintain the shine. But if you're asking how I personally maintain the shine of paint protection film, I usually do like a 2-bucket type of wash on my vehicle, and I have all my vehicles are ceramic coated, so I take things pretty far as preventative measures on how to keep my vehicles looking like $1,000,000. So hope that answers that question. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, make sure you hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and maybe leave some questions down below that you would like me to address in the next Q&A. This is actually a lot of fun, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more paint protection film content.